My parents sued to evict me so my sister could own her first home. In court, my 7-year-old asked the judge, "Can I show you something Daddy doesn't know?" The judge nodded. She held up her tablet, pressed play. When it started, the certified letter arrived on a Tuesday at 2:47 p.m. Green card. Signature required. The kind of mail that means someone's about to ruin your day. I signed for it standing in the driveway of my parents' guest house, the place I'd called home for 2 years, where I'd raised my daughter Emma after my divorce, where I'd paid $800 monthly rent and sunk $23,000 of my own money into renovations. I opened the envelope. Summons and complaint. Unlawful detainer. Robert and Sandra Mitchell v. Jacob Mitchell. My parents were suing me for eviction. My hands started shaking before I even read the details. The complaint used words like trespasser and unlawful detainer and permissive occupancy revoked. It claimed my stay had always been temporary, that I'd overstayed my welcome, that my presence now interfered with the property owner's right to provide housing for their daughter, Claire Mitchell. Claire, my sister, 28 years old, worked in marketing, made $67,000 a year, and had our parents wrapped around her finger since the day she was born. This was about her. I called my dad. He answered on the 4th ring. "You got the papers," he said. Not a question. "You sued me?" My voice cracked. "Your own son?" "Jake, it's not personal. Claire needs stability. She wants to start building equity instead of throwing money away on rent. The guest house is perfect for her." "And what about Emma? What about your granddaughter? Where does she get stability?" Silence on the line. "We think it's time you found your own place. You've been there long enough." "I've been paying rent every month on time. I renovated the entire structure at my own expense." "That was your choice. We never asked you to do that. You never stopped me either, and you sure didn't mind when I fixed your roof, or replumbed your main house, or handled your property tax shortfall last year. We appreciate everything you've done, but Claire's our daughter too. She deserves this opportunity. I'm your son, and you had your chance. You got married, had a house, then screwed it all up with the divorce. Claire's ready to build her future. We're not asking you to leave tomorrow. You have until the court date to figure something out." He hung up. I stood in the driveway holding that summons for 11 minutes before Emma came outside. "Daddy, you okay?" She was 7, brown hair and pigtails, wearing the Wonder Woman shirt I'd gotten her for her birthday. "Yes, sweetie, everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. My own parents were trying to kick me out so my sister could have my home. I'd been living in the guest house for 2 years and 4 months when everything fell apart. The divorce from my ex-wife Rachel had been brutal. She'd cheated with her personal trainer, classic I know, and I'd filed for divorce immediately. Got primary custody of Emma because Rachel's new boyfriend didn't want kids around. Fine by me, but the divorce had gutted me financially. Legal fees, settlement, child support to Rachel, even though I had Emma most of the time because California law is weird. I'd lost the house we'd owned together. My credit was shot. I was making $52,000 a year as an HVAC technician. Good money, but not enough to immediately rent a decent place and rebuild. My parents had offered the guest house. It was sitting empty behind their main residence in Riverside. Detached structure, 850 square feet. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, small kitchen, living area. "You can stay here while you get back on your feet," my dad had said. "Just help with some projects around the property. We'll call it even." But I'd insisted on paying rent, $800 a month, below market rate, but fair for the size and condition. The condition had been terrible. Original wiring from 1987, no insulation, rotted subfloor in the bathroom, ancient appliances, broken HVAC, so I'd fixed it, all of it, at my own expense. New electrical panel, $1,400, subfloor and tile replacement, $3,800, insulation throughout, $4,200, new HVAC system, $7,500, updated appliances, $3,200, fresh paint, new light fixtures, landscaping, $1,900, total, $23,000 over 2 years. I had receipts for everything, every Home Depot run, every contractor I'd hired, every YouTube tutorial I'd watched at 11 p.m. to save money by doing it myself. The place was beautiful now, modern, efficient, worth at least $40,000 more than when I'd moved in, and my parents wanted to give it to Claire. The Sunday dinner where everything started was 3 weeks before the lawsuit. My parents hosted every Sunday at 6 p.m., pot roast, mashed potatoes, the same meal we'd been eating since I was a kid. Claire showed up late at 6:47, wearing designer jeans and carrying a bottle of wine that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Sorry, client call ran long. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, remote position, made good money, lived in a trendy apartment downtown that cost $1,850 a month. We sat down, made small talk. Everything seemed normal. Then, over dessert, Claire said casually, "You know, I've been thinking, that guest house would be perfect for me." I looked up from my apple pie. "What? Your place? It's so cute now with all the work you've done. And it would be perfect as my first home. I could build equity instead of throwing away money on rent." My mom nodded. "That's a wonderful idea, honey. Jake's been there long enough," Claire continued like I wasn't sitting right there. 2 years is more than enough time to get back on his feet. "I'm still there," I said, "getting back on my feet. With your niece." Claire waved her hand dismissively. "You can find an apartment. There are tons of places available. Not that I can afford, not that are safe for Emma, not that don't require perfect credit. That's not my problem. The words hung in the air. My dad cleared his throat. Claire makes a good point. You've had a lot of time. Maybe it is time to move on. Move on? I pay rent. I've invested $23,000 in renovations. I've fixed your roof, your plumbing, That was all voluntary, my mom said quietly. We never asked you to do those things. But you never stopped me. You never said, don't bother, we're planning to give this place to Claire. Because we weren't planning it until now, Claire said. But it makes sense. I'm ready to own. You're just renting. Again, that last word hit like a slap. I'm renting from our parents while raising my daughter after my life fell apart. And that's very sad, Claire said, voice dripping with fake sympathy. But it's been 2 years. At some point you need to take responsibility and move forward. I stood up. Emma, let's go. But I didn't finish my pie. We'll get ice cream on the way home. I left, drove back to the guest house, put Emma to bed, sat on my couch, the one I'd bought at a thrift store for $200, and tried to process what had just happened. My sister wanted my home, and my parents were going to give it to her. The lawsuit confirmed it. I spent that night reading through the complaint, again and again, looking for some angle, some defense. The next morning, I called a lawyer, Marcus Chen, tenant rights attorney, 15 years experience, did free consultations. We met at his office at 10 a.m. Gray carpet, fake plants, framed law degree from UCLA. Walk me through the situation, he said. I told him everything. The guest house, the rent payments, the renovations, the Sunday dinner, the lawsuit. Marcus took notes. Do you have a lease? No. It was informal. Family arrangement. Rent receipts? Bank statements showing transfers every month, and Venmo payments with notes like guest house rent. Good. Documentation of the renovations? Receipts for everything. Photos, before and after. Even better. Marcus leaned back. Here's the situation. Legally, without a lease, you're considered a month-to-month tenant. They can terminate your tenancy with 30 days notice. The lawsuit is their way of doing that formally. My stomach dropped. So, I have to leave? Not necessarily. You can argue that you had an implied lease based on your rent payments and the improvements you made to the property. California law recognizes tenant improvements as creating a property interest. What does that mean? It means you might be able to argue that you're entitled to compensation for the $23,000 you invested, or that they can't evict you without buying out your interest in the improvements. Would that work? Maybe. Depends on the judge, but it's your best shot. He paused. There's another angle too. If you can show that the eviction is retaliatory or discriminatory, it's not discriminatory. Claire's their daughter too. But they're evicting you, their son and tenant, to give the property to their other child as a gift. That might constitute an improper motive. Would a judge care? Some would, others wouldn't. Family law is messy. Add in landlord-tenant issues and it gets messier. What should I do? Document everything. Every conversation with your parents or sister, every expense, every email, text, or voicemail. Build your case and pray for a sympathetic judge. I spent the next 3 weeks documenting, printed every bank statement showing rent transfers, found emails from my mom thanking me for covering the property taxes last year when we were short, dug up text messages from my dad asking me to fix the water heater since you're so good at this stuff, photographed every renovation, before and after shots, receipts stapled to printouts showing what I'd fixed. I also set up security cameras, 2 of them, front door and living room, legal in California with proper notice. I told my parents about them in a text, installed security cameras for Emma's safety, just FYI. My mom responded, that's fine, stay safe. I didn't tell them the cameras uploaded to cloud storage, or that Emma had figured out how to access the footage on her tablet. She was 7 but tech savvy, always watching YouTube tutorials about everything from braiding hair to coding in Scratch. The court date was set for November 18th at 9 a.m. Department 7, Judge Maria Santos presiding. 23 years on the bench, reputation for being tough but fair. The night before court, I couldn't sleep, lay in bed staring at the ceiling, ran through my arguments, rehearsed what I'd say. Emma knocked on my door at 11:47 p.m. Daddy, you awake? Yeah, sweetie. Can't sleep? Me neither. She climbed into bed next to me. Are we moving? I don't know yet. We'll find out tomorrow. I don't want to move. I like my room and my school and my friends. I know, baby. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we stay. She was quiet for a moment. Then, Aunt Claire was here last week. I sat up. What? When you were at work. Aunt Claire and Grandma came over. They didn't know I was upstairs. My chest went tight. What were they doing? I don't know, but I recorded it on my tablet, the security camera thing. I learned how to save videos. Emma, can you show me? She ran to her room, came back with her tablet, pulled up a video file. It's from last Wednesday, when you were at that job in Corona. She pressed play. The footage showed our living room. Afternoon light. Timestamp. Wednesday, November 13th, 2:47 p.m. The front door opened. My mom and Claire stepped inside. You're sure he's at work? Claire asked. He said he'd be gone until 6. Some big install. Claire walked straight to the breaker box on the wall. Which switches control the hot water and heat? Claire, are you sure about this? The housing inspection is next week. If his utilities aren't working properly, he'll fail. Then he'll have to move out faster. It's strategic. But Emma, she's upstairs with headphones on. She won't even notice. Claire started flipping switches. Heating, water heater, disposal. Got it. My mom shifted uncomfortably. This feels wrong. It's not wrong. It's practical. Jake's had 2 years. We're just helping him move along. Then Emma's small voice came from off camera. Aunt Claire? Grandma? Both women women froze. Emma appeared on screen. "What are you doing?" Claire's face transformed. Instant smile. Warm. Fake. "Hey, sweetie, we're just checking something for your daddy, making sure everything works right. Don't tell him we were here, okay? It's a surprise." "What kind of surprise?" My mom jumped in quickly. "The good kind, for the whole family. Promise you won't mention it?" Emma nodded, uncertain. Claire walked to my desk, picked up papers. "These look important. I'll take them so they don't get lost." "Claire," my mom protested weakly. "He can request copies. It's fine." The video continued. Claire checking cabinets, opening drawers, my mom looking increasingly uncomfortable but not stopping her. "We need to go," my mom finally said. "Jake might come home early." "One more thing." Claire walked to the wall, unscrewed something. My carbon monoxide detector. She removed the battery, put the detector back. "Claire!" My mom's voice went sharp. "That's dangerous." "What? It'll be fine. The inspection is in 5 days. He'll just fail that part of the check and have to leave. Nobody gets hurt. Calm down. There's a child here who we both love. Nothing bad will happen in 5 days. Stop being dramatic." They left at 3:14 p.m. The timestamp was clear. The audio was crystal. I watched the video 3 times. Emma sat next to me, quiet. "Did I do something bad?" she finally asked. "No, baby. You did something very, very good." The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. Beige walls, tired flags, fluorescent lights that hummed, a clock that looked like it had stopped working sometime in 1997. I arrived at 8:47 a.m. with Emma and Marcus Chen. My parents were already there, sitting with their lawyer, Patricia Morrison, family law attorney, 27 years experience, charging them $425 per hour they didn't have. Claire wore a white blazer, professional, put together, playing the part of the responsible younger sister, ready for home ownership. Judge Santos took the bench at 9:03 a.m. Latina woman, early 50s, gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, reading glasses on a chain. Case number FL 2024-0847, Mitchell versus Mitchell, unlawful detainer. Counsel, state your appearances. Patricia stood. Patricia Morrison for plaintiffs Robert and Sandra Mitchell. Marcus stood. Marcus Chen for defendant Jacob Mitchell. "This is an eviction proceeding involving family members. Let's keep it civil." Judge Santos looked at the file. "Ms. Morrison, you may proceed." Patricia launched into her argument, smooth, practiced. Expensive sentences about permissive occupancy and month-to-month tenancy and property owners' right to revoke permission for use of their property. "Your Honor, the defendant has resided on the property for over 2 years under an informal arrangement. The plaintiffs are now exercising their legal right to terminate that arrangement. Mr. Mitchell is a month-to-month tenant. California law requires only 30 days notice, which has been provided through this lawsuit. The plaintiff's daughter, Ms. Claire Mitchell, wishes to use the property as her first home. This is a reasonable use of their property." She kept saying first home like it was sacred, like it justified everything. Judge Santos listened without expression. "Mr. Chen?" Marcus stood, placed his folder on the table. "Your Honor, my client is not a squatter or a trespasser. He's a tenant who has paid $800 monthly rent for over 2 years. He has documentation of every payment, but more importantly, he's made substantial improvements to the property at his own expense. Over $23,000 in renovations, including electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and structural repairs. He has receipts for everything." He walked through the evidence. Photos of the renovations, bank statements showing rent payments, emails from my mother thanking me for covering property taxes, text messages from my father asking me to do repairs. "Your Honor, California Civil Code Section 1019 recognizes that a tenant who makes improvements to a property has a compensable interest in those improvements. The plaintiffs are attempting to evict my client without compensating him for the substantial value he's added to their property. They want to give that value, created by my client's labor and investment, to their other child as a gift." Judge Santos made notes. "Ms. Morrison, do your clients dispute that the defendant made these improvements?" "No, Your Honor, but those were voluntary improvements. No one asked him to do them. He chose to invest in a property he didn't own. That's his mistake, not theirs. And the rent payments? Also voluntary. This was a family arrangement, informal, revocable at will. The emails thanking him for covering property taxes?" Patricia hesitated. "Family members help each other. That doesn't create a legal obligation." Judge Santos turned to me. "Mr. Mitchell, would you like to speak?" I stood, hands shaking. "Your Honor, I'm not trying to steal my parents' property. I just want to be treated fairly. I've paid rent for 2 years. I've renovated the structure at my own expense. I have a 7-year-old daughter who's stable and happy there. My parents want to evict me so my sister can have the property as a gift. She's never paid a dime toward it. She's never done any work on it, but she's always been the favorite, and now she wants what I've built." Claire spoke up, voice practiced and professional. "Your Honor, I'm not the villain here. I've been saving for years. I'm ready to buy my first home. I deserve what every woman deserves, a safe, stable home of my own where I can build equity and plan for my future. My brother has had 2 years to figure out his situation. At some point, he needs to take responsibility instead of relying on our parents." "You're not buying it," I said quietly. "They're giving it to you, for free, after I paid rent and made it livable." My dad jumped in loud. He was always just staying temporarily, until he got his act together. That was the understanding. understanding. I've had my act together for 10 years, I said. You just never liked the plot. Judge Santos held up her hand. I've heard enough for a preliminary assessment. Ms. Morrison, the emails and text messages your client sent to the defendant suggest this was more than a purely informal arrangement. The rent payments, the requests for maintenance, the thank you notes, these create at least a colorable claim that the defendant has a compensable interest in. That's when Emma stood up. Small kids stand like lightning. Everyone turned. Your Honor, Emma said, voice high but steady. Can I show you something Daddy doesn't know about? The courtroom went completely still. Judge Santos's expression softened. Who are you, sweetheart? I'm Emma. I'm 7. I'm his daughter. The judge glanced at me. I nodded, completely confused. I had no idea what Emma was about to do. You may approach, Judge Santos said carefully. Emma walked to the front, small Wonder Woman backpack on her shoulders. She pulled out her tablet, the cheap Amazon Fire I'd bought her for Christmas, and held it up. It's a video, she said, from our security camera, the one Daddy installed for safety. She paused, looked at me. I learned how to save videos to my tablet from YouTube. You taught me to figure things out myself. Judge Santos took the tablet from the bailiff. Where is this video from? Last Wednesday, when Aunt Claire and Grandma came over while Daddy was at work. My heart stopped. The judge pressed play. The courtroom stayed silent. The video filled the small screen. Our living room. Afternoon light. Timestamp clear at the top. November 13th, 2:47 p.m. The door opening. My mom and Claire stepping inside. Claire's voice. Which switches control his hot water and heat? My mom. Claire, are you sure about this? Claire flipping switches at the breaker box. If his inspection fails next week, he'll have to move out faster. It's strategic. Judge Santos's face changed from neutral to stone. The video continued. Claire checking drawers, taking my inspection paperwork. He can request copies. Then the worst part. Claire unscrewing the carbon monoxide detector, removing the battery. My mom's horrified voice. Claire, that's dangerous. Claire's casual response. Nothing bad will happen in 5 days. Stop being dramatic. The audio was perfect. The faces clear. The intent undeniable. The judge watched the entire clip. 3 minutes and 47 seconds. When it finished, she handed the tablet back to the bailiff. The courtroom was boiling and frozen at once. Judge Santos turned slowly to my parents. Her voice went quiet. The kind of quiet that's worse than shouting. You're asking me to grant an eviction, to put a father and his 7-year-old daughter out of their home, while I'm watching video evidence of your other daughter breaking into that home, tampering with utility controls, stealing legal documents, and removing the battery from a carbon monoxide detector? My mother's mouth opened. No sound came out. Your Honor, Patricia started. I don't want to hear from you, counsel. I want to hear from your clients. Judge Santos looked at Claire. Ms. Mitchell, what exactly were you doing in your brother's home? Claire's face had gone white. I was just checking on things. For safety. You disabled his utilities. You removed a battery from a life safety device in a home where a child sleeps. Explain that to me. I didn't think. No, you didn't think. Or you thought you'd get away with it because no one would know. The judge turned to my mother. And you, Mrs. Mitchell. You watched your daughter commit what amounts to criminal trespass, vandalism, and reckless endangerment. And you did nothing. My mom was crying now. I didn't want her to. I tried to stop. Not hard enough. Judge Santos looked at her notes, shook her head. Here's what we're not going to do today. We're not going to pretend this is about empowering a young woman to own her first home when I've just watched a coordinated attempt to sabotage a safety inspection and endanger a child. She looked at Patricia. Motion denied. Petition dismissed with prejudice, meaning your clients cannot refile. I'm also issuing a protective order prohibiting the plaintiffs and Ms. Claire Mitchell from entering the defendant's residence without express written consent. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Your Honor, with all due respect, Patricia tried. And I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. Breaking and entering, vandalism, reckless endangerment, possibly conspiracy. They can sort out which charges fit. She turned to Emma, smiled for the first time. You did the right thing, sweetheart. Thank you for being brave. Emma asked quietly, are we moving? Not today. Not because of this case. Judge Santos looked at me. Mr. Mitchell, get your locks changed immediately. Document any further contact from your family members. If they violate the protective order, call 911. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. We're adjourned. The gavel struck at 9:47 a.m. My parents left without looking at me. Claire's white blazer looked less professional now, more like a surrender flag. Outside the courthouse, my mother tried to approach. Jake, we didn't mean for it to go this far. You meant exactly what happened, I said. You sided with her, you enabled her, you watched her endanger your granddaughter, and did nothing. She wasn't going to hurt. She removed a carbon monoxide detector, Mom. Do you understand what could have happened? My mom started crying harder. My dad stood beside her, jaw clenched, saying nothing. Stay away from us, I said. Both of you. We walked to my truck. Emma held my hand. That afternoon, I called a locksmith. Had every lock changed by 4:30 p.m. Cost $340, worth every penny. Then I called an electrician, James Rodriguez, licensed contractor, 12 years experience. Had him inspect everything Claire had touched. The breaker switches were off. Hot water, heat, garbage disposal. The carbon monoxide detector had no battery. If there'd been a leak from the water heater, the furnace, anything, Emma and I could have died in our sleep. This is serious, James James said. Criminal level serious. I know. The judge referred it to the DA. 2 weeks later, Deputy District Attorney Michelle Tran, 8 years as a prosecutor, specialized in domestic crimes, filed charges against Claire. Criminal trespass, vandalism, reckless endangerment, tampering with safety equipment. My parents were named as accomplices for being present and failing to stop her. Claire hired a criminal defense attorney, tried to fight it, claimed she was just checking on family, but the video was undeniable. In January, Claire pleaded guilty to reduced charges: misdemeanor trespass and vandalism, 2 years probation, $4,000 fine, community service, restraining order preventing her from coming within 100 yards of me or Emma. My parents pleaded to lesser charges: probation, $500 fine each. The judge, not Santos this time, but Superior Court Judge David Park, 18 years on the bench, said during sentencing, family disputes are painful, but the law is clear. You don't resolve property disagreements by endangering children and breaking into people's homes. You're fortunate this didn't end in tragedy. Claire deleted all her social media posts about her upcoming first home and exciting new chapter. Moved to San Diego 6 months later. We haven't spoken since. My parents sent one text 3 months after sentencing. This has torn our family apart. We never wanted it to go this way. I didn't respond. What would I say? That they tore it apart the moment they sided with Claire over their granddaughter's safety? That family isn't just blood, it's loyalty, and they chose wrong. We're still in the guest house now, 2 years after that courtroom. Emma taped a sign on our door in bubble letters: home, no secret visits allowed. I installed 3 more security cameras, set up automatic cloud uploads, not because I'm paranoid, because I learned what family is capable of when they want something badly enough. Emma's 9 now, thriving, still saving security footage sometimes. She monitors the cameras like a tiny FBI agent just in case. Last week she asked, "Do you think Grandma and Grandpa miss us?" Probably. "Do you miss them?" I thought about it. I miss who I thought they were. That's sad. Yeah, it is. The guest house is ours. The locks are new. The title is still in my parents' names, but Marcus negotiated a new lease, 5 years, locked rate, with right of first refusal if they ever sell. They haven't tried to contact us since the text, haven't apologized, haven't acknowledged what they did. And that's fine, because Emma learned something more valuable than having grandparents who pretend to care. She learned that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from. She learned that telling the truth, even when it's hard, even when it hurts people you love, is always the right choice. And she learned that home isn't just a place, it's safety, security, knowing who not to trust with your keys. We're safe now, and sometimes that's enough.